8 weeks with Persephone. We are now in week 5, deep listening. What is this journey? What is 8 weeks with Persephone? If you've just randomly came across this video, it is 8 weeks where we look at the different aspects of the goddess and the myth of Persephone so that we can use those same aspects to look within ourselves, to actually go deep within ourselves, our own wounds, our own deepest truth, and emerge as the queen, but bring it back into new power into this life. And it has been a very, very, very rich journey for me so far. I'm sitting with the group in the container, and something I want to share is that as I feel into the particular week of what I'm going to share, I want to remind you that everything, and I've spoken about it numerous times, everything is archetypal, everything is symbolic. And when we look at something in an archetypal lens as a non-personal lens, but from a distance so that we can see the symbolism, when we look at something in that way, so many different pathways can arise. And it should, because ultimately what we're doing is we're walking the path of remembering who we are, the multidimensional, divine, beautiful beings that we are, remembering our true soul path, remembering our true soul truth. And in that, there are so many different paths. It really is multidimensional. It really isn't just a straight line and it isn't just one thing. What happens though, as I share these things, a particular aspect or a particular message may be relevant for me at that stage, which I'm sharing. It doesn't mean it's the only thing. As I'm walking this journey, I realize this can be so rich and so expansive. It can really cover almost any possibility. But why I need to bring it back into specific things is really just to make it practical and also to share what is relevant, what came through as relevant for me in that stage. And this week it actually surprised me because as I sat into deep listening, we can so easily think back of, okay, what does it mean? Does it mean this week is about silence? This is about just truly hearing what there is. It's about communicating. As I sat with that, 3 things really came to mind, or really, it didn't even come to mind. It really just almost sort of landed, and it surprised me. One was, first of all, the one was about when we are in deep listening, what happens is there is actually an expansion. It's a receiving through the body. When we really, really listen deeply to something, we don't just listen with the thoughts. And in fact, that should be the last thing that you listen with. Deep, deep listening is an expansion and a receiving through the body, through the bones, through the blood, through the being who you are, to receive what is in front of you. Remember the first week we spoke about innocence that sees. And what was relevant there was to see something as if for the first time, yet bring everything that you already know, everything that you've remembered, everything that you've learned already, to not discount that, but to still see with new vision. And that was to me a bit of a beholding where we look as afresh. This listening in week 5 to me feels like it's in a receiving, as if it's an expansion in the body, an expansion in what we feel, so that we can listen, so that we can receive. So that is the first thing that this week called me for, and I want you to feel that. The second thing was, as we listen more, as we receive more, and as we tap into our bodies, I cannot help but come back to the sensual and the sexual beings that we are inherently. And why it surprised me a bit, and not really. But we don't really think of Persephone or her journey as a journey of sensuality, of a journey of sexuality. Yet, as we expand our bodies more and as we learn to receive through a deeper part, a physical part of us, the waters of our body, what happens, it is just so natural to tap into our sensuality and our sexuality, which is ultimately who and what we are in terms of how our life force flows through. And it has been so, I'm busy with a whole chapter on that, where it has been, as you know, so wounded, so trivialized, so inverted. And what happens is, if we sit with our own descent, as we step into that queen, as we expand our ability to receive through listening, we tap into this body and the sexuality and the sensuality in terms of our senses, our movements, the way we look at ourselves, the way we perceive ourselves, that gets activated again, or maybe for the first time, maybe reactivated. But it's almost as we cannot help to get that beautiful life force activated through this expansion. And then the third aspect of that is the joy and the hope. Because in deep listening, we sat there in the darkness. We sat with our wounds. We sat with all of that happened. And if we drop a little deeper, not only can we experience and hear and feel our sensual selves, we can also hear and feel and reclaim that place of joy, of hope, of true pleasure. And that was such a rich avenue for me to share this week of deep listening, to really go into the expanse and truly listen, then to feel that embodiment, that activation of the sensuality, and then to truly anchor it through the joy and the hope and the pleasure and the enjoyment of who we are in this life. Not discounting anything else that we've done, but to really come into that place of true feminine beauty, adornment, receiving, and living. And that felt so alive for me, and I'm so grateful for this journey to go into that space as well. Like I say, there's so many avenues this journey could take you into, and even this week could take you into so many different ways. So what I would like to share with you is as well what would help so much, and what helps me is this is the place for water to come in. The place for water, the waters within us, the water around us, because remember, the water sits with the memory, and the water sits with the ability to cleanse and to flow and to activate, and it sits with those divine codes in it. So I'm going to invite you to this week also use water. I'm going to share a little bit of a water ritual to help you to maybe just inspire. Like I say, this is not to say you have to do that, but it's merely just to give you something so that you can follow this journey in its own way, so that you can use this week also for the deep listening through expansion, cleansing, through sensual and sexual reclamation, and through joy and hope. And what better element than water to remind us, to assist us, to help us through that. Thank you so much for being on this journey with me, and thank you so much for listening and receiving this. Bless you. Bye for now.